the night you're traded and you threw it?
Yes.
Do you have that phone?
Yeah.
You still use that phone?
Yeah, still works.
In one of the most seismic shifts in recent NBA history, the Dallas Mavericks have officially parted ways with their franchise superstar, Luka Doncic, trading him to the Los Angeles Lakers in a deal that has reverberated across the basketball world with the intensity of an earthquake. It's not often that a 25-year-old generational talent, already with 5 All-NBA first-team selections under his belt, is moved mid-prime, and yet that's precisely what's happened. The February 1st, 2025 deal sent Doncic, along with Maxi, Kleber, and Markieff Morris, to the Lakers, with Dallas receiving Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a distant 2029 first-round pick, while the Utah Jazz stepped in to help facilitate by absorbing Jalen Hood-Schifino and picking up 2 seconds. For Dallas fans, this isn't just a trade, it's an identity crisis. Since the post-Dirk Nowitzki era began, Doncic has been a Mavericks everything. Their offense, their marketability, their hope. To see him leave not in the twilight of his career, not as a declining asset, but as arguably the best defensive engine in the league, is something no one could have reasonably prepared for. The official explanation from the Mavericks front office, particularly GM Nico Harrison, pointed to multiple factors. Luka's ongoing conditioning issue, the fear of locking up $345 million in a looming supermax extension, and a desperate need to reshape the team's porous defense. But all of these reasons feel like paper trying to hold back. Doncic, who found out about the trade in the most unceremonious fashion, mid-movie night at home, described it as a heartbreak, one that culminated in a shattered phone and, reportedly, a very tense moment with family members, close team. His father, Sasa, didn't mince words either, lambasting the Mavericks front office for betraying a player who gave everything to the city. And that sentiment was echoed in protests outside American Airlines Center, where dozens of diehard fans held up signs calling for accountability and mourning what felt like the death. From a basketball standpoint, the deal feels like an enormous gamble that leans heavily into faith. Faith in Davis's health, faith in a 2029 draft, and faith that something unseen is brewing with the surface. Anthony Davis, when healthy, is a top-tier defender and a dominant two-way presence, but when healthy is a massive caveat. Since the Lakers' championship run in 2020, Davis has missed more than 160 games, and even when available, his ability to anchor an entire franchise on both ends question. Max Christie is promising but unproven, and the 2029 pick is so far off that it feels more like a lottery ticket corner. So why did Dallas pull the trigger? One theory suggests that the front office saw the writing on the wall. Doncic's frustration was reportedly growing behind closed doors, especially with the team's lackluster roster construction and repeated playoff discipline. The fear that he might eventually request a trade publicly may have accelerated this move, pushing Dallas into a proactive stance. But the irony is thick. In trying to avoid being forced into a trade, they initiated one themselves and are now left to just. The immediate results are sober. The Mavericks, once built around an offensive genius who could bend defenses at will, now lean on an aging big man, a mercurial Kyrie Irving, and a scattered supporting cast. Kyrie may take over as the primary scorer, but his history of instability makes him a difficult pillar to build on. Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, and Derek Lively too are solid pieces, but none can replicate what Luka brought to them, not even more than just a scorer or passer. Doncic was Dallas tempo, its voice, and its swagger. On any given night, he could drop a 40-point triple-double and walk off smirking like he knew something the rest of. Now, the Mavericks are a team in search of not just a new identity, but a new soul. Nico Harrison and head coach Jason Kidd have emphasized that the team is shifting toward defense and balance, citing that an elite defensive team is harder to beat postseason. And in theory, a Davis-led defense flanked by high-energy wing and a buy-in from everyone could raise the floor of the Mavericks significantly. But that's in theory. In practice, Dallas is banking on a version of Anthony Davis that has rarely been available for full season, and they've made this bet at the cost of a transcendent player with possibly another decade of dominance. The rest of the league, meanwhile, is watching with disbelief and perhaps a bit of envy from Lakers, who now get to see Doncic purple and gold, paired either with a winding down LeBron or as the clear successor in next iteration of show. For them, this is a franchise reset in the best way possible, moving from one all-time great to another seamlessly. For Utah, it's a tidy win, picking up a young asset and additional draft ammo for their ongoing. For Dallas, it's a fork in the road. They can double down on building a balanced, defensively sound team, depth and patience, or they could end up back in the lottery wilderness, spending the next several seasons chasing shadows of what they. Even internally, there's likely some dissonance. The Mavericks front office will pitch this as a reset, a realignment around flexibility future asset. But the emotional toll of losing a player like Doncic goes beyond strategy. It's about legacy. You don't just trade a player who is on pace to shatter franchise records and possibly rewrite the league's history books unless you're absolutely certain. And certainty, in this case, feels in short supply. The broader implications are enormous. Dallas has essentially placed itself on a 3-year clock. Either Anthony Davis performs at a near MVP level and the team returns to contention, or the front office will face the wrath of a fan base that still wears number 77 jerseys like him. The window is short, the pressure immense, and the patience of fans, many of whom felt betrayed by how the Kristaps Porzingis era played out, has likely worn thin. In the grand scheme, this move will either be seen as visionary or catastrophic, with very little middle ground. Luka Doncic, meanwhile, arrives in Los Angeles with something to prove. He's no longer the face of a rebuilding team, Dallas. He's the centerpiece of a championship-hungry franchise that thrives on stars and spotlight. If he leads the Lakers deep into the playoffs or to another title, the narrative around this trade will flip on its head and become a cautionary tale for organizations who undervalue superstars. For now, though, what Dallas has done is rare, bold, and incredibly risky. They've traded away not just a player, but a dream, a vision of who they thought they could be with Luka. And while the future may hold promise, and the present is filled with grief, confusion, and an overwhelming sense of what just happened. The Mavericks have drawn a line in the sand, but it remains to be seen whether they'll be remembered as architects of a brilliant or the team that let a legend walk away. The Mavericks bet their future on Anthony Davis in a distant draft. The odds are against. For Lakers fans, it's Christmas in February. For Dallas, this feels like the start of a long, painful The decision to move on from Doncic may one day be understood in the context of larger defensive identity, long-term cap flexibility, and a culture reset. But right now, it's a decision rooted in risk, uncertainty, and emotional fallout. Dallas didn't just trade a player. They traded the belief that greatness could be built around it. And as Luka Doncic begins a new chapter in the bright lights of Los Angeles, the spotlight will shine just as brightly back on Dallas. Every success Luka has in purple and gold will be a reminder of what the Mavericks. Every MVP vote, every playoff, every highlight will stir the question. What if they had waited just a little longer? For a franchise that had already found its generational star, the search begins again. This trade won't be judged tomorrow or next month, but years from now, when the echoes of this decision either validate a bold vision or become a cautionary tale of impatience. In the end, this trade isn't just about what Dallas gave up. It's about what they believe they couldn't build with Luka. Whether that belief proves prophetic or misguided will shape the next decade of Mavericks basketball. The front office made a bet that few teams have dared to, trading a generational superstar in his prime. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. Now, all they can do is hope the gamble doesn't become a ghost that haunts them every time Luka steps on the court for someone. Thanks for watching the video. If you like it, give it a like and hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications on for more deeper analysis of NBA's drama break.